Expat personnel need to give extra attention to the security situation in Mexico. Do not go out after sunset. Avoid going out alone. Go out in groups. Robberies can take place during day and night. Avoid secluded places such as beaches and neighborhoods. Keep your passport, plane ticket and money you don't need immediately in a safe place. Be alert if strangers ask you for personal information or financial help. For all personnel, remember to wear money, credit cards and other valuable documents discreetly on your body. Do not wear eye-catching jewelry. Be careful when speaking in public about the project, other related business and money. Be careful about taking food, drinks or rides from strangers. Don't lose sight of your food and drinks when outside. Do not resist when robbed. Resistance often leads to violence. Hand over your belongings. For personnel working offshore, the primary threat results from petty theft and robbery, which in the Bay of Campeche is classified at a medium risk. Mexican naval forces increased patrols since beginning of 2020, which led to a decrease of incidents. In the whole year of 2021, 2 incidents occurred. The highest threat is during hours of darkness, mainly from 9 o'clock in the evening to midnight. To minimize risk of being robbed, extra awareness and vigilance must be given by the crew. This can be done by increasing the watchkeeping and organizing security drills. During hours of darkness, an effective precaution is to establish a single point of entry and keep as many doors as possible locked. Keep equipment and tools secured and inside, making them less attractive for theft. In the vegetation, there is a high chance of encountering venomous snakes. When there is a need to go into vegetation, remember to not go out alone. Inform the environmental team. An environmental supervisor needs to accompany you. Wear snake leg armor to protect yourself from snake bites. When boarding a vessel, always keep the following in mind. Wear a life jacket, check it before using and ensure it fits as intended. Hold the handrail and help each other while transferring. Board a vessel in a proper way. For example, do not use an improvised gangway such as a wooden plank. Do not transfer if the gap is too wide. Do not carry luggage, both hands must be free. During offshore transfers, climb the ladder when authorization is given. Take the heave of the vessel into account. Step on the ladder when the vessel is at its highest point and dropping. Don't rush while climbing, maintain 3-point contact and do not carry luggage. If you don't feel comfortable, don't transfer. Help and take care of each other. Wear a life jacket, check it before using and ensure it fits as intended. When returning to the vessel, get inside the cabin immediately. Check these points on a life jacket before wearing it.
Do not use the life jacket if one or more of these points are not okay.
The life jacket must be clean and undamaged. All points on the inflating device must be green and the cylinder must be unpunctured. The manual inflation cord must be visible and ready for use. The life jacket must be certified as indicated on the sticker. If not present, the life jacket cannot be used. The stitches must be undamaged, the belt adjustable and the clasp closing properly. Working at height means work in any place where, if there were no precautions in place, a person could fall a distance liable to cause personal injury. When working at height, a working at height permit must be in place and a job safety analysis has to be made. The only exception is when working with collective protection and guardrails or scaffolding installed. When using a ladder, maintain 3 points of contact, do not work on the top 3 rungs, do not overreach, and use a fall arrestor. Ladders are primarily designed to get from A to B and can be used for approximately 30-minute activities only. 10 kg is the maximum load that you can work with when standing on a ladder. No lone working is allowed. People must help to stabilize the ladder at 75 degrees. The ladder must be secured at the bottom and the top, to prevent movement. Many heavy equipment-related incidents occur within our industry. Always position yourself in a safe zone. If you observe blown-over signs, barriers or safety cones, don't wait for others to put things back in place. If you see it, you own it. Don't stand near and especially not behind a vehicle. Stay in well-protected zones and always wear your high-visibility clothing. If you have to approach a vehicle, ensure eye contact with operators, see and be seen. Wait until the vehicle is completely stopped. Excavators have to be approached with extra care because the operator has limited visibility. To prevent dropped objects, secure tools and other objects that can fall. Put barriers around areas where there is a risk of dropped objects. Use suitable lifting arrangements, secure the load properly and use lifting bags to lift tools. Maintain good housekeeping to avoid loose objects. Guard rails and scaffolds must have toe boards to prevent dropped objects. The main hazards of chains and lines under tension are the snapback zones and slips, trips and falls. Mooring lines are handled by a competent person. Never stand on or walk over tensioned lines, and do not stand in the eye of a line. Always hold the line by the side of the eye and never let it slide through your hands. Position yourself out of harm's way and be prepared for a sudden release of tension. Snapback zones vary, depending on where the line or chain snaps. The following applies for all types of lifting. Follow the instructions of the person in charge of the lift. Do not walk under the suspended load. Lifting zones must be marked and have barriers placed, both on marine equipment and on shore. Do not enter these zones and take the load shadow into account. A permit to work and job safety analysis have to be in place when working on energized systems. Only competent and authorized persons are allowed to work on these systems. First, check and measure energized systems before taking any action. Ensure no stored energy remains. Confirm that isolation measures have been taken, such as locked switches, locked doors and closed pipes. Use a lockout-tagout system. It may only be removed by an authorized person. Confined spaces are identified as one of the 9 high-risk activities at Van Ord. A confined space, such as a tank or pipe, has difficult access and ingress. It can contain explosive gas or poisonous air, or you can encounter other dangers such as lack of oxygen, dropped objects and slips, trips and falls. We do not enter tanks which contain or have contained chemicals or fuel and do not perform the gas measurements. A certified third-party company must be hired. Water tanks are tanks without any chemicals or fuel and have never contained these. An entry permit and job safety analysis need to be in place. Before going inside, establish ventilation and measure the air quality in the confined space. This must be done by a competent person. Wear a personal gas monitor and check if the right communication means are in place. Use an UHF radio. Always wear a safety harness. Use a fall arrestor system for vertically entering a confined space. Only use 24-volt tools. The manhole watch is on standby and alerts the rescue team in case of an emergency. Under normal circumstances, no oxygen measurements are required, and no permit is needed for engine rooms, pump rooms and pump house casings. Poor housekeeping are often the cause of incidents. Examples of hazards are tripping over loose objects on floors, stairs and platforms, being hit by falling objects and slipping on greasy, wet or dirty surfaces. Examples of good housekeeping are shown. Maintain good housekeeping by maintaining a tidy working place, Putting tools back in the workshop or toolbox when not using them. Cleaning up after the work is done. Situations like these are a danger for personnel and for the environment. It must be avoided, at all costs. In principle, it is not allowed to use custom-made, modified or in-house repaired tools. If there is no commercial option available, a purpose-built tool may be considered if the tool is designed by an engineer and if the tool has followed testing requirements. Finally, approval needs to be given by the project management. For the storage of hazardous products, the following requirements must be met. Storage areas must be bunded, kept clear and clean. The area must be secured, lockable and well ventilated with natural or forced air. All hazardous products must have a safety data sheet and must be available at the storage area and read before usage. Depending on the type of product, a JSA and specific PPE might be needed. Replace lids on all containers immediately after use and no ignition sources are allowed in the vicinity of hazardous products. All containers must be clearly labeled indicating its contents and classes must be segregated in line with the safety data sheets. Light sets, generators and other oil leak-prone items must be placed on drip trays. Spill equipment needs to be readily available on various locations on site. Waste is segregated in 3 categories: domestic and municipal waste, non-hazardous industrial and commercial waste, hazardous waste. Make sure you use the right container for disposing your waste. During summer, continued exposure to high temperature and humidity or to the sun is the common cause of heat cramps, heat exhaustion and heat stroke. In case you are exposed to high temperatures, make sure to drink more fluids. Regardless of your activity level. Do not wait until you are thirsty to drink. Do not drink liquids that contain caffeine, alcohol or large amounts of sugar. These actually cause you to lose more body fluid. Avoid very cold drinks, because they can cause stomach cramps. The color chart indicates the level of hydration. All personnel working for Van Oord are expected to proactively guard the environment. Therefore, do not interfere with wildlife. No feeding, capture, disturbance or harming wildlife on or near the worksite is permitted. Do not collect biological or other natural material. Do not hunt or fish. Strictly adhere to the project boundaries. Keep the environment litter-free. If you encounter wildlife in the way of works and relocation is needed to keep personnel or the animal safe, seek advice from the environmental coordinator. If you have doubts about any environmental management aspects or if you identify room for improvement, please notify and discuss with the environmental team. Your input is much appreciated. Van Oord considers having a social license to operate essential for a successful project. A social license is the informal approval that communities grant to an individual company or project. Van Oord's presence has an impact. Our behavior can influence our social license to operate. The social license to operate requires constant maintenance. All project staff is required to portray respectful behavior towards locals, their customs, land and each other. All personnel should take notice that there is a grievance procedure in place. All grievances, complaints and questions raised by community members shall be recorded and immediately reported. If in doubt, ask your supervisor. At Van Oord you are forming part of a multicultural workforce and diverse team. Please contribute to creating an inclusive environment and a safe workplace for everyone. Always treat others as you would like to be treated, hold up respect, dignity and goodwill. Exchange home and life experiences, cultures and traditions, and other knowledge with your colleagues. If in doubt about local cultural codes, ask advice of your Mexican colleagues. Greet colleagues and acknowledge them and make it clear that you value their assistance. Make no assumptions about an individual's skills, abilities, and interests. Show solidarity and focus on creating the feeling of we are a team. Thank you for your time and attention. In case you have any questions, please contact the project management of Van Ord.